On footballnewsnow.com, I am senior writer Chuck Carroll, joined again by a friend to the site, a blogger, and a defensive end for the Seattle Seahawks, Mr. Jay Richardson. Jay, thanks for talking to us again.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, you got to be riding pretty high after last Saturday's win over the Saints, huh?
I'll tell you what, we're excited about it. You know, it was a huge game for us. Obviously, it was a big night for the city. It was wonderful, but at this point, we are ready to get rolling on Chicago.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit, and then we absolutely will turn our attention to Chicago. But let's talk a little bit about that game. It seemed to surprise a lot of people. The media, the fans outside of Seattle, mind you. But how surprised were the Seahawks as a team?
Not at all, actually. That's the wonderful thing about this was that every single guy on this team went into that game knowing not only that we could win that game, but that we were going to win that game. So nobody was surprised outside of our locker room. Nobody was surprised inside the locker room, just the people on the outside. But we knew after playing those guys about 6 weeks back, and that was in New Orleans. We took a loss there. But, we had some injuries, and we also just, as the flow of that game went on, we were in the game for the better part of the game. We knew that if we were going to have a chance with those guys, that we could beat them.
And, the defending Super Bowl champions, is that, a big confidence boost for you going in knowing, just what a feat it was that you pulled off last Saturday?
I mean, it is, you don't want to not, acknowledge the fact that there was the former Super Bowl champs, and you give them that respect and credit. But at the same time, I don't think that they were the team that they were last year. Obviously we're a different team too. Second time around playing them. And with that home crowd behind us, we're tough to beat.
And that's my next question for you. I mean, how big of a factor was the famed Seattle 12th man?
Huge factor. Immeasurable factor. We love our home crowd. We love those fans. The 12th man is huge for us, and every chance we get a chance to play in front of them, we want to put on a good show for them, and they definitely carried us a lot towards the end of that game.
One last question about this. This is kind of the tough question. The Seattle defense looked a little bit soft, giving up 36 points at home. What are you going to try to do to improve that this week on the road against a tough Chicago Bears team?
Well, I think first you got to realize we were going against one of the best offenses in football. The Drew Brees and New Orleans Saints offense is definitely no slouch. Now, you don't want to ever give up 36 points against anybody, but at the same time, you got to be realistic. Those guys are going to put up some points. I was just happy that we were able to put up more points than they did. But as far as that goes, that all comes down to just timing. They have a big time timing offense, and a lot of their stuff happens in rhythm. And you got to really disrupt the quarterback in order to slow that rhythm down. And I thought we throughout the game did a good job of at least keeping the big plays off the board, and holding to a lot of field goals and situations like that. He caused a turnover, and that was good. Now looking forward, we have to play great run defense against Chicago. We have to get in the passing lanes with Jay Cutler, and we have to hit him in order to win that game.
Sounds to me like you're going to be stressing the fundamentals basically against the Bears.
Always the fundamentals, always the little things. I mean, those are the things that get you beat, not doing the little things properly, and so getting caught up in the hype of the game and forgetting to do your job.
Okay, well, and that leads me to my next question. This one was actually submitted by my co-host on the Sports Journey Broadcast Network. We do the Redskins player shows I was telling you about. A gentleman by the name of Lake Lewis wanted me to ask you, in terms of an inclement weather situation, how is that going to affect you as a defensive end trying to get to Jay Cutler?
Honestly, not too much. It's going to be cold out there for everybody. It was cold for our game here. It'll be cold for our game there. As a defensive end, as long as it's not too muddy and you can get some traction and get your cleats sank in the ground, you got a shot, So, the temperature itself doesn't really have too much effect on us up front.
Do you expect for Hasselbeck to come out there and be able to have the same kind of game on the road in a hostile environment without the 12th man advantage against Chicago? And frankly, with Brian Urlacher staring across from him at the linebacker there, Jay?
I'll tell you what, those guys have a huge challenge in front of them. We're going against one of the best defenses in the NFL. They got tons of big-name guys on their side of the ball. We understand that. Great defense, great scheme. And they don't try to really disguise what they do. They just try to outplay you, and they just try to, beat you up, essentially. So that's going to be a huge challenge. But I fully expect for Matt to do everything he's capable of doing to win us the game. I know he will.
Now, last Saturday was your first playoff game ever in the NFL. I mean, what was
Oh yeah.
that? What was that whole experience like for you, Jay?
It was a memorable one for me. It was huge for me. Like I said, like you mentioned, my first time ever in the playoffs. I was excited. I was all jacked up and everything. But I think it was just wonderful how it happened. It was wonderful, the energy. The competitiveness on the field is taken to a whole new level, and it's kind of funny. You start to realize what guys mean when they talk about how much different the playoffs are than regular season. It really is the truth.
Oh yeah, on Marshawn Lynch's touchdown. I mean,
Yeah.
standing on the sidelines, can you just walk us through what that must have been like?
It was kind of surreal for us on the sidelines because, we knew they were going to just try to bang the ball inside and try to, work at the clock. And, you weren't so much expecting them to score as maybe take a good chunk of the clock down, maybe get in the field goal range, or, maybe play it off and give the defense a chance to go out there and, in the game. And then it was like, next thing you know, he gets the handoff and we're all just kind of talking to each other on the sidelines. I wasn't really even watching the play until I heard the crowd go crazy. I looked up, and he had just busted through the first level, and I'm like, oh, man. And then he just busted through the second level. I'm like, oh, man. And then he threw the one DB on the ground, and he had a whole, convoy of guys behind him, blocking for him. I'm like, he's going to score. And then he just ran it in there, and the place erupted. It was crazy.
Now, getting back to Chicago, it seems Jay Cutler has gone down more than his fair share of times this season. Is it in the Seahawks game plan to bring a lot of blitzing this weekend to try to mix things up?
I mean, whether we blitz a lot or not, I guess doesn't really matter because with the defensive ends we have here on this team, we're going to get pressure one way or another. And that's essentially the most important thing when you're talking about a guy like Jay Cutler who has a fantastic arm. He can make all those throws that they talk about. I mean, the guy's got a cannon. But at the same time, he does take some chances. He will try to squeeze the ball in there sometimes where it might not fit, and you have got to take advantage of those opportunities. I don't think they're going to come out necessarily pass happy. I got a feeling they're going to come out trying to pound the football. But when they do drop back, we got to be in the space the whole night.
And what do you think would be more advantageous, knowing the Seahawks defense the way that you do? Are you guys better suited to, really play that ground and pound game, or would you rather, drop back and let them take their chances through the air?
You know what's crazy? We have so many sub packages on this team and so many versatile players on our defense that we're kind of we can kind of morph into whatever we need to be. If we need to be a ground and pound, stop the run team, we can do that. We have the players to do that. If we need to pin our ears back and take off and rush the passer, we got the players to do that. We're kind of like the iPhone, we have an app for everything. So it just really comes down to just whatever's necessary. I mean, if it's time to rush the quarterback, we bring in our nickel package and all those guys can rush. If it's time to stop the run, we go with our base stuff and all those guys, big strong guys that can stop the run. So, we're pretty versatile as far as the defense goes. Good
deals. And, geez, I'm sitting here looking at the stat line, just trying to pull one more question before I ask you the last one. And, I see that really the Bears have allowed 56 sacks this season. That's got to be close to pretty much a league high, isn't it?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. They and the thing is, they have a big, strong offensive line. I think they would much rather run the ball than pass it, as far as their linemen go, because I think they're more built to definitely pound the football. But with that offensive coordinator, obviously, and then that quarterback and those receivers, they're going to want to get going in the air at some point.
All right, outstanding. All right, Jay Richardson, last question for you. Don't want to take up too much of your time. Again, this one off of the FNN fan page on Facebook. A reader by the name of Mike Middleburg wants to know, can the Seahawks go all the way?
Without a doubt. I fully have confidence in this team and this unit that we can go as far as we want to go. But it's going to happen one game at a time. Obviously, the old cliche, we're not going to go anywhere unless we beat Chicago. So that is our primary focus. But are we capable of going all the way? Sure. I mean, this is the NFL. When you make it so far for a reason, that's one of the best athletes on planet Earth, all playing against each other. But, I don't think that any team has that much more talent than the other team. I mean, look what the Patriots were able to do with some of the guys they have. The other teams didn't want. It's just all about who plays better on that Sunday. So we got to be better on Sunday.
All right, and one more professional question from me. Sorry, just popped in my head.
No
The
problem.
Chicago Bears coming off of a bye week, but you guys also got the extra day off this week because you played on Saturday. Is that extra day going
Yeah.
to be advantageous for you?
Oh, sure, health-wise, big time. I mean, it's always nice to have a little mini bye. Get some guys healthy and get some rest for your guys, and I'm sure they got plenty of rest and they'll be ready to go. It's going to make for all the better game on Sunday, but I don't think, you know, the time either for them or us is going to make too much of a difference. At the end of the day, you got to put on cleats and go play football.
All right, and that's Jay Richardson from the Seattle Seahawks. Best of luck to you this weekend against the Chicago Bears.
Thanks a lot.